Go ahead and get started. I wanted to start with a few housekeeping items, get those out of the way first. The first of which is we are recording our session today. We had a number of clients who could not join the live version and asked us if we would be open to recording it. So wanted to let everybody know about that. Secondly, for compliance purposes, they have asked us to disable the chat feature of Zoom. So you'll notice that that is not a possibility for us to use today. And lastly, I think I have muted everyone, but just in case, if you don't see your screens muted, please go ahead and do that. Cassandra, you leave yours open, please, but everybody else can mute. So now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, I would like to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first time we've done anything like this. So interesting, uncertain times call for new measures, right? To get creative and innovative. So that is what we are trying to do. And it goes without saying that we are all living in unprecedented times with lots of different types of challenges. And one of the things that I learned a few years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, was the benefits of meditation. And for me, it brings me back to the present. It grounds me in gratitude and helps me when I'm going through anything uncertain in my life. And one of the things I think that is certain about life is that there will always be uncertainty, right? And right now we are living with more uncertainty than normal, but we will have many other challenges in the future. And so if we can learn how to just get really present with ourselves and ground ourselves, I think it is incredibly beneficial, at least has been in my life. So I am so honored that you all have joined us, and I'm so grateful to my dear friend Cassandra Lee, who has agreed to join us today. I know you saw Cassandra's background and her bio, but just to give you a little bit more information about her, she is actually a money nerd. She's a former money nerd, maybe, but I don't know if you can ever really get over that.
No, I call myself a recovering money nerd.
Okay, recovering. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. She does still love spreadsheets. I happen to know that about her. So I'm not sure how recovering you are. But anyway, Cassandra was a CPA and a CFP. She worked for Ernst & Young. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's founded and sold a few companies, and most recently has given her gifts to the world in the form of spirituality and meditation. She is in the second year of a program to become a certified mindfulness meditation instructor, which is why I invited her to join us here today. So I will turn the call over to her, and she is going to go over some of the benefits of mindfulness meditation and take us through a session. It'll be about probably a 15-minute meditation, and I will close us out and we'll get you back to your day around 12:30. So that's kind of the agenda for our call. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Cassandra, and I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you showing up today, taking time out of your day, probably at home. Maybe this is somewhat refreshing to have something to show up for, but it's still a commitment that you're making for yourself. And I always say that meditation is not hard. The hardest part of meditation is showing up to practice. So when I think of meditation, I've come to decide that there's 3 steps to meditation. And teaching this course, teaching the introduction to mindfulness meditation course and giving that first meditation, it's one of my favorite all-time things to do. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. So going back to these three simple steps, I call them uh, the three RPs, which there's three R's, and so I think of them as the three R's to practicing. And the first one is recognizing, releasing, and returning. Those are the three primary steps of meditation. So the first R is recognizing. And what that really is noticing when we're in a thought, because we need thoughts when we meditate. And that was something I didn't understand when I first started this practice. I thought meditation was quieting the mind, silencing the mind. That's not actually practical. We have between 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. So to sit down and to think that you can turn your mind off, well, it's actually impossible. What we are focused on doing is letting go of our thoughts, releasing our thoughts. So thoughts are an important part of the meditation practice. So the first R is recognizing when we are in a thought. The second R is releasing. So it's letting go of the thought. And then the third R is returning. And what is it that we are returning to? Well, there's different styles of meditation. And today you're in an introduction to mindfulness meditation class. And what we are going to use is what is called an anchor. And it's what we're returning to is our breath. We're going to return to finding our breath because the breath is always here in this present moment. It's always available to us. So we can return our focus to the breath of our belly. We can feel our belly rising and falling. Maybe we can choose to return to feeling our chest rising and falling. Or we can focus on the sensation of the breath as we inhale and we exhale. So when we return, we are returning to the sensation of breath. But in all modalities, the three R's are really what we're practicing in meditation: recognizing, releasing, and returning. So you may have done some of Oprah and Deepak's 21-day meditation, and he uses a mantra meditation, a Vedic meditation. There's also transcendental meditation, which uses another mantra. Usually it's one that's assigned to you. And again, all of these modalities are using the same steps to release thoughts. And so that's when we get into the power of meditation and really why we want to practice meditation. Yes, there are so many medical benefits. I'm sure if I can see some of you nodding your head, yes, you know about the medical benefits, uh, slowing down your heart rate, helping you get to sleep and stay asleep. There's many, many benefits. But for mindfulness meditation, there's two primary benefits that help us when we go about our daily lives. And the first is what I call the snooze button. So in the brain, I have a little model somewhere. This is a model that my 12-year-old put together, and she made me promise that I wouldn't take it apart, but I've already started to. So in the brain, there is something called the amygdala, which is way deep inside the brain. And it's a physical part that is responsible for sounding the alarm. It is what causes us to react in a fight, flight, or freeze response. And this was extremely helpful when we were being chased by saber-toothed tigers. And we have threats in our daily life, but many of them, in fact, most of them, don't require us to respond with an immediate reaction because our life is not imminently in danger. So, what the practice of meditation does is give us the strength and conditioning to hit the snooze button. Hit the snooze button before we react so that we can take a few minutes to think about, is a fight, flight, or freeze response reaction, is that necessary in this case? Or can I take just a few breaths, just a few minutes to respond to the situation? And this is a very, very powerful reason for why we practice meditation. It's learning to hit the pause button. And the second thing that meditation enables us to do is to let go. And what that means is letting go of thoughts. Because, like I said, we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And I don't know about you, but not all of those thoughts are happy thoughts. Some of them are based in fear, some of them are in response to something that's happened. And meditation gives us the tools to learn how to let go of those thoughts, to release them. The ones that are self sabotaging, the ones that are not serving us in any way that actually helps us. So, these are the two things that mindfulness meditation can help us go about our regular day and do things just a little bit differently. And that's why it's important to practice. Practice makes hitting the alarm or hitting the snooze button or letting go of thoughts, practice makes it easier when we are not meditating. Practice is what allows us to have the skills, the strength, and conditioning to put these tools into practice when we most need them. And these are very unfamiliar and unsettling times. And mindfulness meditation, it gives us the opportunity to be present in what we can call the sacred pause. Whatever is here in this moment, coming home to our bodies, coming home to what's here, and simply accepting it and allowing it. So, I want to practice with you today. Before we begin, I just thought to check in. I know sometimes it's hard to listen when we're dealing with what's going on within our body. So, did any of that make sense to y'all? Have you heard that thoughts are necessary as part of a meditation practice? Is that a relief? It was for me, because I know I have lots of thoughts and the practice is releasing them. So, if you're ready, thumbs up. Let's do a 15-minute meditation. So, I invite you to get comfortable, and that includes lying down if you prefer. You can also stop the video. You can do whatever makes sense to you, but standing, sitting, lying down, you find the position that works for you. There are no rights and wrongs with meditation. If you know who Bob Ross is, I think of Happy Little Mistakes. So I invite you to get comfortable, and if it feels okay for you in this moment, close your eyes Gently settling into the stillness. We're aiming to be comfortable and yet alert. Let's start by taking 3 deep breaths together, inhaling through the nose, pausing, and exhaling through the mouth. So let's begin. Inhaling through the nose, pausing, exhaling through the mouth, relaxing, settling into our bodies. Again, inhaling through the nose, holding it, and releasing it. Letting go. And one more time, inhaling through the nose, holding and releasing, relaxing, letting go. Settling into a normal pace and rhythm of breathing, whatever is normal and natural for you today. Perhaps if it feels right, do a quick body scan, scanning your body to see if you feel any area of tension. And if so, see if you can relax that area. Breathe into that area. Allowing what is here to be here without judgment. Continuing to breathe at our natural rhythm, our natural pace. In today's meditation, we are going to practice letting the breath be our anchor. Letting the breath be our present moment focus. Why do we use the breath as our anchor? Because the breath is always here, always present and available to us in this moment. As thoughts arise, and they will, which is perfectly normal, we are going to try to gently, without judgment, recognize that we're in a thought, release the thought, and return to focusing on our breath. Staying in the present moment, focusing on our breath. Recognizing when we are entranced in the thought and gently releasing it. Gently returning our focus to our breath. recognizing, releasing, and returning. Recognizing, releasing, and returning. Recognizing, releasing, and returning. We will now observe 3 minutes of complete silence for you to continue the practice of recognizing, releasing, and returning. And these last few breaths, I invite you to soak up the stillness as we build the strength and conditioning, the mental flexibility to distance ourselves from our thoughts, to let go, and just be present with this moment, expanding our awareness, coming home, and welcoming in what's here. In the words of Lao Tzu, the mystic philosopher from China, best known as the author of the Tao Te Ching, he wrote, "Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." To which I'll add, the beginning to a meditation practice begins with a single step, just like the one you took today. In a moment, I will ring a bell, and that will end our meditation. Please take a few breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes, perhaps taking a moment of gratitude for being here, for being present, for doing this work on yourself, for giving this time to yourself. Blessings. Thank you all for joining me.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cassandra, my
Mm.
darling friend. That was amazing. I don't know about all of you, but I feel so much calmer and more peaceful. And I even meditated this morning, but, but I still feel so much better now. So thank you. And I just want to, I know we're right at 12:30, so we'll let you go, but I just wanted to um, add to what Cassandra was saying about the amygdala and sort of tie it back to long-term investing, because I think this is a really interesting tie. There is scientific proof, according to what I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but that meditating actually shrinks the amygdala.
I actually have not read that
All right.
scientific, but there's innumerable benefits to the brain and building this elasticity that they say,
Yeah.
which really leads to happiness. Because if you're able to let go of negative thoughts and you have at least three positive thoughts for every one negative, um, it builds optimism, which leads to happiness. That
Okay.
was the most recent article that I read about the scientific and medicinal benefits of meditating.
Okay. Well, I'll have to try to find the article about the amygdala, because I thought that was really fascinating. And I think from an
Fascinating. Yes.
investing, yeah, from an investing perspective, we've been able to see that the same fight, flight, or freeze reaction that goes off when we're fearful of something actually is triggered in our brains when we see our portfolio values declining, which all of us are
Yeah.
experiencing right now. And so it's really, really important with long term investing to be able to ideally shrink that amygdala and shrink the fight or flight reaction, because we also know that selling out of your portfolio, for example, when it's down, is obviously the wrong thing to do. We know that logically and intellectually, but that piece of our brain that's there to try to keep us safe and alive and keep
Hmm.
us out of harm's way also sometimes pushes us to make the wrong decisions when it comes to managing our investments. So I think there's so many benefits as you went over, and I just wanted to make that connection because I think it's a valuable one to keep in mind, especially during periods of volatility, enhanced volatility, which we're experiencing right now. So thank you so much, Cassandra. I am going to put Cassandra's Instagram tag on the screen. There she is. So she's Cassandra Lee Sees on Instagram. If any of you are there, please follow her. She periodically will post 1-minute meditations, which are fantastic if you don't have a ton of time, but you just want to take a moment to ground yourself back into the present, take a pause. I call it giving myself a timeout sometimes, which I need more recently than normal. So please follow her. And thank you again, Cassandra, for leading us in this awesome
Thank you all
meditation
for
and teaching
being
us.
here.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone
My
who
honor.
joined. So good to see you. I hope I can be in all of your physical presence very soon. And until then, we will keep connecting virtually and make the best of this situation. So take good care, stay safe and healthy. I'm sending you all virtual, socially distant hugs, and we'll talk to you
Elbow
soon.
bumps.
Yeah,
Thanks,
take care.
Sam. Oh,
Bye. You're so welcome. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks.